What's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Personal Perspective with Buddha the Enlightened One. It is Valentine's Day. I don't have any plans, but I do have some plans, so I'm going to knock this out real quick. My question for you: when does a tree stop growing? That might be a trick question. I had to look this up because I was curious. I didn't know if trees actually do just stop growing or not. I know they can live for hundreds of years, but like, when do they stop growing? Which made me beg the question, when do we stop growing? Now, I know there's science behind all of this that shows when we physically stop growing, but when do we stop growing mentally? You know what I mean? When do we stop building those rings in our brain? I think I'm having a quarter life crisis right now where I'm realizing how old I am chronologically. Like, I don't feel old, especially up here, bro. I feel like my ideas are still like bright and possible, and I actually have some wisdom now to apply those same ideas I had back in the day that I want to do now. But yeah, I think my overall analogy today is about a tree's growth and how that applies to ours and how we technically don't stop growing spiritually. A tree doesn't decide to stop growing. Growth is in its nature. What can interrupt growth, though, are conditions. A lack of light, dry soil, no room for the roots to expand. We like to imagine that everything comes to a completion at some point. But in nature, completion isn't a point. It's a process that continues to unfold until it can't. So the question shouldn't be, when does growth end? But more, what are we allowing to interrupt the process of that growth? We have to remember most growth is invisible. A tree will expand its roots far underground before it reaches its branches towards the sky. Support comes before scale. In life, we're often celebrated for what we can see, so rewards, accolades, the recognition from those things. But the background work, like the training, the consistency, waking up early, going to sleep early, just so that you can have this moment and be prepared for this moment. Consistency that these people put in, day out, to show for the moment that they do get the recognition. All of that is behind the scenes. All of that is in silence typically. Again, in life, growth looks ordinary. Somebody being a little taller than they were the year before, adding 10 more pounds on your PR in a month. The people see you on day 30 hitting that PR, but they didn't see you preparing yourself on day 1 for it. But remember, the growth started underground where there was a subtle shift, setting a new boundary, reestablishing your discipline, having a moment of restraint where there would be a reaction. Day in, day out, our roots are always forming, no matter how old or young you are. Again, time does not stop growth, conditions do. A plant placed in poor soil doesn't die because it's weak. It dies based on its lack of nourishment from its environment. You and I are the same. Our habits become our environments become our limits. We adapt to what surrounds us, and sometimes we don't notice what we've outgrown. Comfort is persuasive. It'll tell you stability is the same as fulfillment, but comfort doesn't allow us to grow or expand. In nature, trees deal with a lot of resistance. They have to bear through storms, high winds. In life, we have our own struggles we deal with day to day. But all the same, we have to remember, without resistance, there is no strength building. Without any resistance, we become fragile. Difficulty can reveal where we're flexible and where we're rigid. Both can be essential tools for our growth. No matter where you're at, you have to remember you're never too late, you're never too early. No tree is ever planted too early. Most trees are planted too late. My favorite quote is, "The best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. The second best time is today." I think that's a perfect reminder for you and I to plant something today. Whatever you need to do to become someone you want to become, whether it's a new idea, new habit, old habit, as long as it's positive. Let's plant it today. Let's nourish it today. Doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 19, 29, or 39, or even 69. Nice. Plant something today that will continue to grow for as long as its conditions allow it. And don't forget to nourish that environment so it does continue to grow. We have to remember the visibility of success is often mistaken for progress, but a tall tree without roots is temporary. Foundation and stability are more important than you know, and oftentimes you don't have to announce it. And remember, attention is nourishment, energy is sunlight, and environment is soil. When you choose to direct your intention towards your attention, that's where growth follows. So whatever you plan in here, remember, as long as you keep it alive, growth is inevitable. It may not always be upward, it may not always be left or right, forward or behind you. Sometimes it's inward, just like roots to the earth. Remember, growth isn't a milestone, it's building a relationship with those conditions. Tend to the soil, seek the light, and allow resistance to shape you in this growth process. That's another episode of Personal Perspective. Thank you for being here. Leave a follow, leave a comment, subscribe, send this to a friend, a loved one. As always, have a beautiful day, beautiful week, beautiful month, and of course, beautiful year. And as always, take care.